Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've got this thing I've been horsing around in Mari. Just want to point out one thing with Mari. Okay, there's my project. Okay, when I open it up fresh, and I can open up my project, and la 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 la. Okay, whatever. I don't know what that warning. I should investigate it soon, but it hasn't affected me. So I was horsing around. I smashed all my layers together. But before I get into that, one thing I want to point out, if you want to save this in separate little increments, okay, this isn't really obvious, but what you've got to do is, let's go back here to projects, and I got to make sure that file, close. So there's quit and there's close. I'm closing my project, so I didn't do anything, so I'm just going to discard that. Okay, so notice that it's still, Mari's still open. Now it's sitting over here. My project's here. What I can do is I can archive. So I can save this in an increment here. So if I want to go in and do something like go in here, and for whatever reason I just want to save it. There's head, and I might do head 01. Enter. And it's archiving. Boop. Okay. And so then I could also do something like I can... Let's see, if I should have done that earlier. Maybe I'll do one more of these. So there's head 01, and then there's head 02. Okay, great. And then if I hit open archive and I decide to open the second one, this way I can not damage this version here. La la la, and now it's going in and pulling this all apart. I think if you take a look, if I bring my layers over, I like to have lots of windows open with this because I feel sometimes claustrophobic in Mari. There you go. Now you're seeing I get another project. So this one here is saved differently, and this one here is going to save the way I want it to. And so when I double click, click, and then I should figure that out, but. So there we have it. So I've got a different version in case I screw something up as I'm saving, because otherwise it looks like all you can do is save, and you're just like, when I save it doesn't really do anything. Well, now it's saving to a different archive, or that different open project. And I was noticing I have some problems with these photographs that I was using. I've kind of gone in and I've put them all onto separate layers. I've named them so I don't get confused. And I've put on these masks. And the mask, you can see that's activated, that I want to paint on the mask. Okay. And if you want to see what the mask is doing, you can hit this button over here. And there's my mask. Okay, so all the black stuff is being masked off, and the white stuff is what you're seeing. You want to see what... There we go. And you can see there I've got a different shader on. It's got a bit of speck action on it. This one here has no speck action, and then this one here is just a flat material. Okay, and so there's my base. I made it nice and bright and green. And it's just showing me the individual layers that I went in and I've been working on. And also this is all non-destructive, right? What I'm doing is non-destructive, so all that texture is still there in case I screw something up. Look, there's a bit of a chunk of crud there. What if I go and I turn this on? And I've got the black on, so if I do something like that, and then I'm on auto bake. I've got auto bake on over here. Sometimes I like auto bake, sometimes I don't. So there you have it, and I can do a little bit of work here when I auto bake. There, in. Yeah, so I have all these set up so that each one has its own little layer of stuff. And then when I get back to normal, all I have to do is go and hit my V-Ray material, and boom, I'm back to normal. And I move this out of the way, over to the side. And I've got to go in here and play with my photographs, because I wasn't thinking. I shouldn't have let this go. I noticed that the photographs, because we were using natural light to do the photographs, of course it's going to change over the period the photographs are taken. We didn't actually light up this person. So I should have just been pushy about that and made a good light setup. Anyway, I'm going to go in and try to adjust these things. So I notice one of the worst ones is the front face. The front face has got just a little bit dark. It's not saturated enough. So if I'm on that layer, if I'm on the front, you can put in adjustment layers, and I might be able to play around with something here. We'll see. If you're having problems with this, if you want to, you'll notice that you can only really put one on at a time. Or if I put this in, it's going to affect the ones below it, right? So this is an adjustment layer that's going to, anything I do to this is going to affect the ones below it. Okay, so if I turned off all these, you'd see this is going to scorch everything. Okay, so we don't really necessarily want that. Actually, where is it? If I get rid of this thing, if I hit cut, is it going to take out the whole layer? I don't want to do that. Uh-oh. Okay, so I just got oh, it did work. Okay, good. I saw a smoking crack for a second. So, the other thing we can do is you can, when I'm on the front here, I can right click, so there's an adjustment layer, and there's also adjustment stack. Okay, and if I do this, boop, now it's only going to work on this one. And now when I do this, it's only going to affect the one layer. Alright? Don't make a liar out of me. Because my side layer is not being affected, and that's below this. Okay. So this one, but you can only really put one of these on. So this isn't always necessarily that great. Right? And I can, where is it down here? If I go into the, how do I get rid of this? I can't remember. So if I take this thing and I right click and I cut, that got rid of my front of my face. And I could just, I've turned it off. Anyway, there's a way to get rid of that. I'm not going to worry about that. That wasn't what I wanted to do. What I was going to basically do is show you that you can go in here and you can create a folder or a group, essentially. And then I can put the front in the group. And then I can take the front and then I can put add adjustment, boop, and that's above this. But it's inside the group, so it's not affecting these ones down below it. Okay, and I'm probably going to play around for a little bit and see if I can brighten her up a little bit. Sometimes it's easier to even do in Photoshop of all places. I'm just going to see what happens when I bring these back and take a look-see-poo. And it's still not there. And we'll see what happens if I pump it up. And actually, that was right around there someplace. That's looking pretty good there. And then it's revealing that this one, this front left one here, quarter left, has got a problem. And then what if I put a folder on that? And then I pop this into it. I keep saying folder, but it's a group. Okay. And then add a new adjustment layer, and I play with the brightness on this one. And now I can start to crank this up a little bit and make the match like magic. And actually, it's really nice I'm on the flat shader. It makes it really easy to see. And so I might have to do some playing around for a little while. And I hope... actually, and I can see now under the chin is giving me some issues. There's some other things here. But I'm going to play around with this for a little while. Now, what are we at? 9 minutes? Okay. So I've still got to blend all these things together, and I might make her into a bit of a skinhead. Yeah. But after I'm finished all this stuff, what I can do this a couple of different ways. What I want is I want the texture more than anything else. And I'm just going to grab all of my layers, okay, and export. Actually, I can all the selected layers flattened. Boop. Okay, and when I do that, I can take this out, and it's a channel. And where are we going? We're going to images. I might just see if I pop this into my source image folder. Okay, and There, it's coming in as a TIFF, and it says number on the channels and everything like that. I'm just going to see what happens. Diffuse. Okay, great. And boop. And export all patches. And it's thinking down here. You can see it thinking away. La 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 la. And I move around, can't do anything. Okay, great. So it's exported. And let's see what that puppy looks like. And I'm just going to move this over here for a second. And I'm just going to go and take a quick look-see-poo. And Van Art's head project. And if I go down into source images, the thing I just made comes up as this. And of course, Photoshop wants to open it up. Freaking TIFF file. How big is that? No, that's not that big. Okay, so there is my image. Okay, so what else do I want to do? I'm going to take this over into Zbrush and do some funny things with it. I don't know if I'm going to have time to fine-tune all this stuff that I want to do, because I gotta. You can see some of the textures don't match, and I want to blend these in. Might take chunks of neck from here and put them over here. Take out some of this hair that's under the ear and stuff like that. Yeah. But let's just go File, Save As. Sometimes the TIFFs, I haven't figured out why, but the TIFFs don't come in really well into ZBrush, so I'm not going to use that. So we're going to go in and face diffuse, something like that. And we're not saying the TIFF. I'm going to go high quality JPEG, either that or PNG. I'm going to go with the JPEG this time around. Okay, save. And high quality. Great. And I'm going to pause for a second while I'm opening up ZBrush. I'm just going to pop that head geometry into ZBrush. Pause! Okay, so I got this into ZBrush here. Actually, let's try and make this a little bit smaller. And so... Okay, and I want to bring that texture in here. So I'm just going to go to Texture, Import, and we're in Scenes. So I just pulled that head up from, and that was the diffuse channel. Actually, am I allowed to bring that TIFF in? I'm just going to check out something here. Am I allowed to do that? Sometimes. Oh, I did do it. Okay, sometimes I didn't like TIFFs. But there's my TIFF. And the TIFF, typically my UVs are flipped. So you'll see that if I went into down here to texture map and I grab that, it should be upside down. There we go. Nice. And we can't really see with that red wax on. I don't like the red wax. There's flat color. I tend to like skin shade 4 when I'm looking at my model. Okay, so the texture's upside down. So if I take this, I have it selected, I just hit flip V. Actually, the texture's not flipped upside down, it's the UVs. And then I go back over here and I load it in again. Look, there it is. And I'm going to smooth it. Control D, Control D, Control D. And you can see I'm up at 217,000. Control D. Control D. Now we're at 3 million. I could probably even go one more. And I can sculpt in here and I can do some fine tuning on, I think the nose is off a little bit. The ears are off a little bit. This is like to me, I'm slow. This is like a day of me tweaking these little bits and pieces before I get into the texture. So I spend a long time thinking about this. And also remember, I don't actually have the real eyes in. But the trick that I want to show is once I've got everything and I'm really happy and I want to fine tune and put all this, take some of the skin texture, make noise out of it, is I'm going to go in and clone the texture. So now the texture's sitting over here. Okay, and then I go over and I make alpha. That pops it up here. Then I can go into layers. I'm going to create myself a layer. Okay, great. I could do some other tricks with the morph target, but I'm not going to. And then I'm going to go into displacement map. I'm going to pick up that flipped alpha that we made over here. Bloop, 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 bloop. And then I'm going to take the intensity and crank it up a little bit. You don't really need much more than that. Okay, that's a lot. And you can see it's making things look a little rough. Okay, and zombie apocalypse rough. And I hit apply disk map, and then it's going to think for a moment, and then we get this, and it's like, that's looking quite rough. Yes, I don't know if I like this. But then, because I made the layer, I can take the layer and I can bring this down. Let's bring it down by half and just see what happens at a half zone. Okay, so that's okay. So now it's getting better. And yeah, I said that 0.1 was a lot, right? So now I'm going to put this layer at 0.1-ish. And now we can see some nice things going on here, right? I could even go down a bit more. But you can see the skin. And you can also see, you can really tell where my textures aren't merging together very well, like right along here, right? The bump is totally gone, but here we're getting a nice bump. You can see in here we're getting kind of crap, right? And things like the lips here, I might even find that this looks to me, these white areas here are sticking up a little bit. What if I went like negative? And that's too much. Go back a little bit. Right there. And you can even start to use this as a basis to come in here and sculpt these out a little bit more and get a nice result. Actually, it looks... and you can see things like the hair starting to stick out and the eyebrows are sticking out. But anyway, you can use this texture to sculpt from. But you take a look at what I can do with this texture, that's amazing. This is what I want to be able to achieve. And actually, should we make her greasier? Let's put a silver foil on her. Yeah, so you can actually see lots of bump action in here. And again, this takes a little while to really tune this up and get something really nice out of it, but it's working pretty well. Black color, still seeing, you can see how the textures aren't matching up. I have to go back to Mari and do that. But I think that's going to be the end of this little thing here and what I plan to use this texture for. And we'll see if I can actually get some time to finish this all off. Anyway, done for now.